QTV News, we take a look at the headlines. Inspector General of Police Kakoma Kanganja has warned police officers against abusing the sweeping powers they have been given. And the Food Reserve Agency FRA has reduced the number of satellite depots from this year's marketing season from 1,223 to 760. With the news in detail, my name is Kali Chinsenge. Inspector General of Police Kakoma Kanganja has warned police officers across the country not to abuse the sweeping powers they have been given following the evocation of Article 31 of the Constitution. And the police chief has assured the business community and the people of Zambia the police will be there to protect them and their property, hence they should go about with their normal lives and business. He has also assured President Edgar Lungu, who is also Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces and the nation as a whole, that the police are equal to the task at hand and have resolved to see to it that people trying to create anarchy in the country are brought to book. Mr. Kanganja has urged police officers to work without fear or favor during the 90 days period and be on alert following the spurt of criminal activities where some individuals have torched government infrastructure, thereby causing anarchy in the country. The police chief said this at Lilai Police Training College when he addressed police officers undergoing an extensive training on traffic matters.
These events have culminated in the President of the Republic of Zambia, His Excellency Mr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu, to invoke Article 31 of the laws of Zambia, thereby giving police more powers through which perpetrators of lawlessness could be brought to book. I wish to warn you that the powers that have been entrusted to us are not to be abused, but you are supposed to work without fear or favor. In the same vein, I want to assure the Commander-in-Chief and the people of Zambia that we as police are equal to the task at hand and are resolved to see to it that people trying to bring about anarchy in the nation are brought to book. Through working with other security wings, we have already made quite a number of headways, and soon all culprits shall be cornered and be made to account for their criminal activities. It is therefore my appeal to the business community and the general citizenry to go about with their business normally, as we are going to do our level best to ensure that there is peace, law and order in the country.
Some Lusaka residents have called on government and the media to educate them on what is required of them following the declaration of a state of threatened public emergency and their approval of the same by Parliament. Last week, President Edgar Lungu proclaimed the state of threatened public emergency under Statutory Instrument number 53 of 2017 following a spate of fires in the country targeting public facilities. More in this report.
The country has in the recent months experienced unexplained fire outbreaks and vandalism of strategic installations bordering on economic sabotage. In August 2016, Tambalala Market in Balini Compound in Lusaka was gutted, followed by the burning of Mongo local courts early this year. And in April 2017, Lobama Market, also known as Kamala Market, was set ablaze. In the same month, one person was apprehended for attempting to set ablaze the intercity bus terminus in Lusaka. That, however, was not the end of these sudden unforeseen events, as on May 1st, 2017, the Kafue District Education Board offices were gutted, while on 1st June 2017, 10,000 households were affected in Ndola following the destruction of the ZESCO electricity pylons, not forgetting the earlier sabotage on the Pensulo transmission line in Serenje. A similar act was carried out on the Kafue West Lusaka West line, where citizens and industries serviced by the line were affected by the destruction of the ZESCO pylons. And just last week, Lusaka City Market, the country's largest market, was gutted and property worth millions of kwacha was destroyed. Simultaneously, a fire erupted at Lusaka's Misisi Compound Market, located near some ZESCO pylons. These happenings prompted the head of state to invoke Article 31 of the Constitution, declaring a state of threatened public emergency, which was approved yesterday by Parliament in a unanimous vote. The proclamation of this statutory instrument has, however, been received with mixed views. I took time to talk to some people who had this to say.
Just talking about it, and people are making fun of it on social media and everything, but they do not know the implications of this. So
then it depends in our boss. So to avoid
we have read on the newspapers that the president is saying it is not a state of emergency. According to him, is Article 31. I don't know if he's invoking Article 31. He's saying those who are not arsonists, they should not be scared of anything. They should just go ahead with their normal day-to-day duties. But I must say it also that if this Article 31 is leading to other articles, other people, which articles they are saying Article 30, which is going to lead to a state of emergency, I think it is not good for the Zambians.
Constitutional lawyer John Sangwa has this explanation on how people can conduct themselves in such a situation.
Now, he has identified a problem. The question then is, what is the solution? Now, the solution on the part of the president will come in the form of regulations, right? We don't know what regulations is going to put in place, right? So right now, until those regulations are put in place, life goes on as usual, okay? So we have to wait for him to gazette, to issue regulations. He may issue regulations, for example, I'm just saying, just to give an example, the issue of concern is the fact that all markets are being burnt, right? He may make a regulation to say markets should not be occupied after 18 hours, for example.
It is therefore hoped that the proclamation of a state of threatened public emergency or the invocation of Article 31 does not instill fear among citizens, but provide a sense of comfort and security and help in preserving the country's peace, tranquility, and national security. Nakaonga reporting for Q News.
Transport and Communications Minister Brian Mushimba has assured the travelling public that the security measures relating to the invocation of Article 31 will not disturb their travelling schedules. This comes in a wake of fears expressed by some commuters that the invocation of Article 31 of the Constitution may result in them missing their bus schedules, more especially for long distances that start off as early as 5 hours in the morning, thereby affecting their businesses. Mr. Mshimba has told QTV News that the travelling public is free to catch a bus in the morning as per their normal schedules without being arrested or detained by the police. He says the normal operations of buses, including long-distance buses, will continue during the period of the threatened state of public emergency. Mr. Mshimba has assured members of the public that the invocation of Article 31 has not resulted in the government through the police limiting their movements at night, as there is no curfew. And Tourism and Arts Minister Charles Banda says Zambia still remains a safe tourism destination despite Parliament's approval of the proclamation of Article 31 by President Edgar Lungu. And Mr. Banda has disclosed that the country has not recorded a reduction in tourist arrivals as a result of recent occurrences, contrary to the insinuations by some people. Addressing a media briefing in Lusaka today, Mr. Banda has encouraged tourism operators to continue operating normally and not fear anything as there is no state of emergency in the country.
I wish to reassure our esteemed partners in the tourism sector that they should not fear but continue to operate normally. Finally, I would like to also assure our international tourists that it is safe to come to Zambia and that Zambia is still a peaceful nation that will maintain this peace at all costs. And I wish to dispel those other assertions that are being made by the detractors abroad that Zambia is now a no-go area because there's a state of emergency, discouraging people to visit Zambia. I think it is not the correct thing to say. It's always good to say things in their correct perspective. There is no state of emergency in Zambia. If anything, what the president has done is to proclaim a procedure that is going to help prevent further inadverse activities by the perpetrators of arson and bad behavior in our country. And this is good for us as Zambian people, at the same time for our visitors, protecting their lives, property, the liberties, and the peace which they want to enjoy. Mind you, where there is no peace, there is no tourism. You have to maintain peace in order to attract tourists or visitors, if you may like to say, to your country.
Agriculture Minister Dara Salia says the Food Reserve Agency FRA will this marketing season operate 760 satellite depots across the country instead of the usual 1,223 depots. Ms. Salia has told Parliament in a ministerial statement on marketing arrangements for the FRA for 2017 marketing season, as well as the e-voucher nationwide rollout in 2017-2018, that the agency will buy 500,000 metric tons of maize for strategic reserves. She says a reduction in the number of depots is in line with the policy pronouncement of limiting the strategic food reserve purchase to 500,000 metric tons. She says, Ms. Salia says, the FRA will concentrate its operations in outlining areas where it has managed to purchase 60% of the crop in the past 2 seasons. She says the concentration of the satellite depots will be in Eastern, Luapula, Muchinga, Northern, Northwestern Province and Western Provinces, where private sector participation is minimal due to limited accessibility.
Madam Speaker, going forward, the FRA has already started preparations for the 2017-2018 crop marketing season. And in due course, the FRA will announce the price at which it will participate in the market. I wish to emphasize that this price is not a floor price. May I repeat, Madam Speaker, that the price to be announced by the FRA is not a floor price, but simply the price at which FRA is willing and able to buy compared to other buyers in the market. The following activities have been undertaken in preparation for the marketing season. 1. Designated commodities for the 2017-2018 marketing season have been gazetted. The commodities are rice, maize, and soya beans. Once packaging mechanisms and logistics are in place, more crops on the FISIP list will be procured in the future. 2. 1,520 seasonal staff and satellite depot clerks have been trained countrywide. Deployment of seasonal staff is expected to be completed by the 12th of July 2017. And 3, the FRA has been conducting moisture content monitoring countrywide. As at 5th July 2017, the average moisture content was 14.24% and is projected that the ideal moisture content of 12.5% would be attained by the end of July.
And Ms. Salia says government has targeted to have 1 million beneficiary farmers on the e-voucher system in the forthcoming 2017-2018 agriculture season, a reduction from the targeted 1.6 million farmers during the 2016-2017 season. She explains that the reduction is in an attempt to be more targeted on the intended beneficiaries of the FISP e-voucher program. Ms. Salia adds that government will implement the Farmer Input Support Program through the e-voucher system at 100% of the targeted farmers in all the 109 districts in the country.
Madam Speaker, in the forthcoming 2017-18 agricultural season, a total of 1 million beneficiaries will be targeted countrywide. This is a reduction from the 1.6 million targeted by both conventional FISIP and e-voucher system during the 2016-17 season. This reduction is an attempt to be more targeted on the intended beneficiaries, that is the commercially viable small farmer of FISIP e-voucher program. It is worth noting that over the past 2 seasons that the e-voucher has been implemented, an estimated 25,000 farmers have been removed from FISIP beneficiaries list due to death, ghost farmers, or cards that were not collected by the owners. With the expansion to all districts, it is expected that more names will fall off. Madam Speaker, some of the farmers who will be left out of the e-voucher program will benefit under the food security pack during the 2017-18 season, while others will be screened out because they are salaried employees either in the public service or the private sector or do not meet the criteria for selection. The screening will be done in collaboration with Smart Zambia Institute. Madam Speaker, the e-voucher beneficiaries allocation for the initial 39 e-voucher districts has remained unchanged at 602,521 farmers. But for the rest of the districts, allocations have been revised downwards to 2015-16 season levels. The provincial allocations for e-voucher in the 2017-18 seasons are as follows. Central Province, the number of beneficiaries will be 172,149 as small farmers.
The Civil Servants and Allied Workers Union of Zambia, CAWUZ, has appealed to President Edgar Lungu to consider reinstating all the civil servants who were recently retired in national interest. CAWUZ President David Chiombe has told Q News in an interview that some of the civil servants retired in national interest are professionals who can still add value to the public service. Mr. Chiombe says the head of state should consider forgiving those retired in national interest so that they can continue serving the nation. Meanwhile, Mr. Chiombe has advised civil servants to stay away from active politics. He says public service workers should desist from engaging in active politics, considering the consequences that come with such acts.
You are aware, though we made that call, but I think in any home you may have children, but there are children who may not follow your instructions. And out of that, there has been a lot of retirement probably in the national interest. And those are civil servants who are deemed to have been partisan. They did not hit to our core. But our call is, again, we want to reiterate to the Republican President to reconsider his position on those who have been retired in national interest, because those are young men and women, maybe whose future will be definitely curtailed. And let him give them that forgiving heart so that they can repent and continue to serve the Zambian workers. Some of them are very, serious professionals, highly qualified. But out of that lack of understanding and lack of following instructions, they found themselves in such situations. So our call, we are reiterating once, and we will continue to knock on the doors of the President, Republican President Edgar Lungu, to reconsider and forgive those erring civil servants. For sure they must have been involved, or they were involved.
The Zambia Revenue Authority, ZRA, said it has at 30th June 2017 collected 384 million kwacha during the tax amnesty on interest and penalties relating to late returns and payments on all tax liabilities, which comes to an end on the 31st of July. In a statement, ZRA Corporate Communications Manager Topsy Skalinde said a further 277,707 applications have been received. Mr. Skalinde has encouraged delinquent taxpayers to settle their tax debt before Monday, 31st July, when the tax amnesty comes to an end. He says ZRA is cognizant that the liquidity of most taxpayers is not very good, and that those who are unable to settle the principal taxes immediately have an opportunity to enter into time to pay agreements TPA and spread the payments up to December 2017. Mrs. Kalinde states that in order to ensure that more people are helped, ZRA will conduct a national tax amnesty week from 17th to 21st July 2017 in 12 different towns, namely Chingola, Chinsali, Chipata, Choma, Kawe, Kasama, Kitwe, Livingston, Lusaka, Mongo, Ndola, and Solwezi. The Amnesty Initiative gives individuals and businesses the opportunity to have 100% interest and penalties waived off by simply paying the principal taxes. Health Minister Chitalu Chilufya says government has concluded negotiations with the Indian government for the refinancing of the construction of 650 health posts by expanding the loan amount by a further 12 million United States dollars. Dr. Chilufya has told Parliament in a ministerial statement that this follows the non-release of funds to support the option of Zambia National Service undertaking the completion of the 201 health posts in northern Luapula, Muchinga, and northwestern provinces whose works have stalled. He says the challenge of the non-release of funds prompted renegotiations between the governments of Zambia and India towards refinancing the project. He states that it has since been agreed that government re-engages the two contractors who are working in the other provinces to complete the health posts in the 4 provinces. Dr. Chilufya says the negotiations, which have been concluded in principle, are awaiting administrative approval from the Indian External Affairs Ministry. And Dr. Chilufya says a total of 327 structures of the 650 health posts have been completed countrywide, out of which 275 have been handed over to the Ministry of Health and are fully functional.
These challenges, Madam Speaker, prompted renegotiations between the government of Zambia and the government of India towards refinancing of the project. What has been agreed, Madam Speaker, is one, that government re-engages the two contractors who are working in the other provinces to complete the health posts in the 4 provinces of Luapula, Muchinga, Northern and Northwestern Province. 2, that the government of India refinances the project through Exim Bank by expanding the loan amount by a further 12 million US dollars. Madam Speaker, the negotiations have been concluded in principle and are awaiting final administrative approval. Madam Speaker, revised completion dates for all incomplete health posts under this project will only be established once the refinancing of the project has been concluded and the financial position ascertained and contractors enabled to start work. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, allow me to assure the House and the nation that government is firmly committed towards the completion of all health posts under this project.
The National Union of Public and Private Educators of Zambia, NUPEZ, has held parliamentarians for voting unanimously to approve the declaration of a threatened state of public emergency. NUPEZ General Secretary Nelson Mwale tells Q News that the move will bring about peace and stability in the country as law enforcement will be done efficiently and effectively. Mr. Mwale says peace and stability are the engines of economic growth and that a few individuals should not be allowed to destabilize the peace the country has enjoyed for so many years for a political expedience.
And the private educators of Zambia and NUPEZ would like to commend the parliamentarians for a unanimous vote that was given in Parliament towards the threatened state of public emergency under statutory instrument number 53 of 2017, made on July 5th, 2017 by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Edgar Chagwa. This will bring about order and stability in the nation as law enforcement agencies will be able to enforce the law effectively. Peace and stability are engines of economic development. Zambians are a peace-loving people. Zambians are peace-loving people and will not allow a few selfish individuals to destroy the country out of political expedience. It is evident that there is no tension in the nation at all, as purported by a few elements, as our workers and the general public are seen going by the usual business, normally, as they've always done. I thank you.
And the Association of Mine Suppliers and Contractors has also applauded Parliament for affirming Article 31 of the Zambian Constitution invoked by President Edgar Lungu last week following a spate of fires that have characterized the country in the recent past. AMSC President Augustine Mubanga has told Q News that the move will not only enhance the safety and security of citizens, but will also guarantee the protection of both private and public property. The Road Development Agency has announced the commencement of construction works under the second phase of the L400 road project at a cost of $141 million. RDA Director Communications and Corporate Affairs Lois Saili has told journalists today that the construction works, which commenced on 6th June 2017, will cover 160 kilometers. Ms. Saili says the implementation of the L400 will result in the upgrading of selected roads in Lusaka to bituminous standards and expanding roads to either 4 or 6 lanes. She says currently works on Lumumba Road are underway by Avika International, who have been contracted to implement the L400 second phase project. Ms. Saili says the contractor will then move to Mungwi Road once works on Lumumba Road have been completed. She states that the completion of the second phase of the L400 road project will help improve traffic flow on selected roads.
Phase 2 started on June 6, and if you go in Lusaka, you will see that works have started on some of the roads. And one of the roads, I think, where we have had a lot of complaints is the Great North Road and the congestion. So works have started on the Great North Road from Lumumba Junction all the way going towards Kabangwe there. And this project, that road covers approximately 6.3 kilometers. So we are upgrading it to about 6 lanes, and we are also considering adding some service lanes in addition to that. So if you go on the ground right now, you will see that Avik International, who is the contractor for L400 Phase 2, the same contractor that did Phase 1, is on the ground working on Great North Road. So the scope of work for L400 Phase 2 involves 1, upgrading some of the existing roads which are gravel standard to bituminous standard, and then also expansion of some of the existing roads. When we talk about expansion, for instance, the Great North Road, or let me give you an example of Mungwi Road. You will see that it's a single carriageway, meaning that it only has 2 lanes, but we are going to expand Mungwi Road to 4 lanes. And the same Great North Road is being expanded to 6 lanes. Lumumba Road will be expanded to about 4 lanes. So that's what we're talking about. Then you will also see construction of drainage and walkways where we have space, installation of street lights. That is the scope of work for L400 Phase 2, covering approximately 160 kilometers of selected roads in Lusaka.
Zambia's High Commissioner to South Africa, Emmanuel Mwamba, says Zambia has a fearless, vocal and active Labour movement to deal with any matter regarding the governance of the country. Mr. Mwamba says the country's Labour movement has played a key role in the liberation of Southern Africa and was also instrumental in the democratization of Africa. Speaking when he received a memorandum of demands from the National Union of Metal Workers in South Africa, NUMSA, Mr. Mwamba says the concerns of the union are misplaced and founded on distorted media reports. He says the labor movement in Zambia is capable to handle any threats of democracy or the rule of law. He has since urged NUMSA to concentrate on the issues affecting their workers and South Africa before they can show solidarity to what he termed as misguided causes. Mr. Mwamba says Zambia is at peace and its democratic processes are not threatened in any way, further dismissing allegations that the country has slid into a dictatorship.
Away from apartheid, you found sanctuary in our country. You would go through Swaziland or through Botswana, but you settled in our country for further repatriation to anywhere where the comrades went. Ladies and gentlemen, when I hear the memorandum by comrade here, President and your leader, I'm surprised. Is he talking about my country? Is he talking about Zambia? Because the profile I've given you is a profile of Zambia. We have been a democracy for the last 53 years. I will come. Just a minute, comrades. Just a minute. We have been a tested democracy for 53 years. Zambia is one of the few countries in Africa where an opposition leader wins elections and is handed over power by the current government.
The Zambia Red Cross Society has observed that insufficient capacity in local response structures and lack of modern technology has denied communities and the country access to up-to-date weather information. Speaking during the launch of the response preparedness project dubbed Strengthening Emergency Response, Society President Ambassador Godfrey Simasiku says it is difficult for people to plan early action to lessen the impact of disasters due to lack of early information. More in the following report.
Responding to natural disasters has traditionally been seen as a compassionate response to people in need. While compassion remains at the core of humanitarian action, relief agencies are increasingly conscious of the fact that assistance is rarely neutral and that their actions can have long-term consequences. It is for this reason that the Zambia Red Cross Society has launched a disaster preparedness project in Zambia. The project will be implemented in 3 districts of Northwestern Province, namely Chavuma, Zambezi, and Kabompo. Red Cross Zambia President Godfrey Simasiku explains the importance of this project.
So we want to say to the government, through the DMMU, the Minister of the Office of the Vice President, because of certain calamities that have been happening in our own country here over the years, government found it fit to plan ahead and to have an organization, an office that will deal with these calamities. And let me appeal to the Minister. One of the problems that we always hear, tragedies happening in our communities. In the schools, roof blown off. Everywhere, roof blown off. These things never used to happen 40 years ago, 50 years ago. The frequency this is happening today shows clearly there is something wrong with the quality of workmanship. So I think you have to liaise with the relevant ministries of works, infrastructure, to try and upgrade the standards of the materials and the workmanship that is used to put up these public buildings, whether they are hospitals, whether they are schools, whether they are houses for civil servants. Because it cannot be everyday business. Money is being lost because of people doing shoddy work. Government is trying its best to pay people, but they are being shortchanged. So I think it's time that we try and call the shots. Say, no more of this. There are people who are highly qualified civil engineers. What are they doing? We have the Institute of Engineers in Zambia. Where is their voice? Please, we want you to come out and help government, help the communities, so that they get a proper value for all these things.
And Netherlands Red Cross Society Country Director Marian Diuda has made this appeal.
But it is likely that either of the 3 scenarios will require further joint efforts on strengthening further our humanitarian response to make it a more cost-effective, efficient and capable response to meet the changing needs of the affected population. We all know that the weather's changing, but I was actually quite shocked on what the climate models were predicting, because 2040 is not that far away. I hope all of us will be there, and definitely our children will be there. So we really have to prepare ourselves adequately for that.
Sylvia Chalikosa, the minister in the Office of the Vice President, represented government and made this assurance.
Zambians have gotten to the stage where they want to see real change on the ground on how to deal with issues of climate change. Government, through my office, is in charge of providing guidance on disaster management. We are proactive in generating partnerships which will bring about real transformation in tackling increasing effects of climate change on our people and their livelihoods. Therefore, the commissioning of the CERT project is coming at the right time when government is seeking partnerships to strengthen disaster preparedness and response at community and district levels. I am optimistic that the CERT project will provide strong coordination systems in the provinces that are prone to disasters. I am hopeful too that the CERT project, in collaboration with my office at district level, will establish the much required satellite disaster management committees in communities and support their smooth running.
Indeed, efforts from stakeholders such as the Red Cross go a long way in helping with humanitarian services in times of calamities and need to be appreciated. Reporting for QTV News, my name is Favorite Kalando in Osaka.
The Zambia Bureau of Standards, ZABS, has advised consumers to pay close attention to product labeling before purchasing products. ZABS Head Marketing and Public Relations Hazel Zulu has told Q News that product labeling is a form of consumer protection that is aimed at informing the consumer about the quality and safety of the products they want to purchase. Ms. Zulu notes with concern that a number of consumers only realize that the product they have purchased has a quality or safety problem after consuming or using it, a situation which can be avoided. She says the Bureau has recorded 21 customer complaints between January and May this year, which would have been avoided had consumers taken time to read the product details to help them make informed purchasing decisions. She adds that it is for this reason that ZABS is duty-bound to remind all consumers in the country to ensure that they read the product details before they actually buy to avoid being inconvenienced. Ms. Zulu adds that some of the information that consumers should look out for is the expiry date, the manufacturing date, the batch number, and the place of origin of the product.
The Zambia Bureau of Standards is calling, on consumers throughout the country to take product labeling, as a very serious matter. This is so because we have realized, of course, with a lot of concern, that most consumers buy products and only realize that these products could have had, safety or quality issues after they've actually consumed them or used them. So it is against that background that we are saying, can consumers ensure that they read product details so that they're able to make informed decisions before making the final decision to buy. Product labeling is actually a form of consumer protection because it gives the consumer the right information about a product. It will alert you about the expiry date, the manufacturing date. It will show you the batch number and many other details that are relevant for you as a consumer to make that final decision to buy that product. We also want to urge, traders, retailers, to make sure that they buy products that are properly labeled with all the necessary information. And beyond that, we want to urge manufacturers to make sure that they take, product labeling seriously in their production processes, so that that product that they are going to put on the market is a product that has all the necessary information relevant to the consumer.
And as we end the news, we take a look at the headlines. Inspector General of Police Kakoma Kanganja has warned police officers against abusing the sweeping powers they have been given. The Food Reserve Agency FRA has reduced the number of satellite reports for this year's marketing season from 1,223 to 760. And the news on behalf of our entire news crew, my name is Sally Sengay, present here.